Hello everyone, it's great to be here today. I've just put a few thoughts together that I'd like to share with you. Why is any of this important? Why are we even talking about the need to do succession planning for clients? Well, I use this quite a lot with clients, this quote from Mayer Rothschild, and it says, it requires a great deal of boldness and a great deal of caution to make a great fortune. But when you've got it, it requires 10 times as much wit to keep it. So what does that mean? Most of the families we're looking after have put in a huge amount of time and effort to create wealth. And they could lose it in a fraction of that effort if it's not protected and preserved correctly. So either they've put in the effort or generations before them, somebody's put in the time and effort to create that wealth. So it's very important, and we're here really to help them to preserve that. They're very rarely coming to us and asking us to double their money. They've done that, they've taken risk to create wealth. Now they're asking us to preserve and prudently grow that wealth. So we have to help them because they're not experts at this. They've been experts at creating it in their area of expertise, but unless you're structuring for a wealth management and trust professional, they're not experts at this. They need our guidance. So when we look at wealth preservation, there are certain risks to their wealth. Now, if you're coming from the investment side, I'm sure you're familiar with all these risks on the right-hand side here, market risk, sector risk, company risk. And you can often deal with these risks and mitigate these risks with a prudent investment strategy. That's great. And that's kind of where I started. But that's only protecting them on one side. If you zoom out and look at wealth preservation more holistically, you've got another lot of risks on the other side, which speak directly to succession planning. We have got creditor claims, divorce, corporate disputes, family disputes. I'm sure there are others, but I just put a few here as an example. So in my view, we need to redefine when we talk about wealth preservation, it's not just one side or the other. It has to be both. I actually now take a very holistic view of wealth preservation. And for those that don't know me, I'll just share a little bit about my journey. I grew up on the wealth management side of the tracks, but I've always had an interest in the succession planning side. For more than a decade, I was the managing director of Rothschild's wealth management business here in Singapore and a director of Rothschild Trust. And it was during that time that I first started to realize that wealth is about more than money. I've now moved to the client side and I provide independent investment advice so I can be fully aligned to clients with no conflicts of interest. I'm also the CEO and founder of Legacy Wealth Advisors, which I established in 2020, really to meet demand from clients for an independent, holistic succession planning service. In the same way I'm doing on the investment side, just coming in as the independent person that can help them to find the right solutions. In addition to my career in wealth management and trust, I'm also the managing director of the Life Academy. We've been established since 2008, and for the last few years, we've been holding inspiring events in Asia and providing one-to-one coaching to empower people to be the best version of themselves. Well, in 2020, I realigned that business towards the wealth clients, and we launched a family wellness program to really enhance the relationships within the family and to support the well-being of individual family members in all aspects of well-being. So I'm really pleased and proud to have aligned all my areas of focus on wealth preservation, on succession planning, and on family wellness to offer clients a truly holistic offering. So I've identified 5 areas where I feel I can help clients to preserve their wealth. I asked myself this question a lot during the circuit breaker. How can families preserve wealth and ensure a smooth transition to a prepared next generation? I was thinking that's what we're trying to do. And yes, number 1 is preserve and prudently grow the wealth. That's the prudent investment strategy that where I started, but that's only one piece of it. So now I'm doing the other 4 as well. You can set up effective structures to preserve the wealth and support a smooth transition. You can also agree key principles within the family to mitigate the chance of disputes. And this goes to the work I do around core values and mission statement and family charter. And then you can, the last two are the family wellness program, where you really can enhance family relationships and support the well-being of individual family members. So I really have zoomed out now, rather than thinking of it like from a wealth management perspective or wealth succession planning perspective. I've like thought, okay, I was looking, when I was sitting in a bank, I was looking after one portfolio of the client's wealth. Then in the family office, I'm looking across their wealth. And now I've zoomed out, and it's not just their wealth, it's all aspects of wealth and well-being. And to me, it's like, finally, I feel like this is what we should be doing.
You know, have you actually come across clients who are very difficult, and you know how you manage to convince them or even to speak to them on such topics? Like it's taboo in Chinese to even talk about death. So I think that's one of the biggest hurdles, like we as Singaporeans have to cross.
Well, firstly, I never say the word death. Okay. If the client is, if you raise it and a client seems disinterested, I would say, as long as you can see there's a need, you keep it on the agenda. So I'm not saying if you see me speaking to them every week, you're going to be hassling them about it. But if you're having a 6-monthly review, for example, like you just keep it there at the end of the agenda. Okay, yeah, I must remember I got to ask them again about succession planning. And what I had one client who he had a substantial portfolio in his own name, but I knew that he also had a wife and a young child. And I also knew that he had a hobby that was a high-risk sport. So I kind of, over a series of meetings, just raised it. Now I've thought about how you're going to pass his assets on. I know you've got a young daughter. Don't forget, people will usually do far more for those that they love than they'll do for themselves, right? So yeah, he had a young daughter, and so he went from, and then another meeting, I think 6 months later, I said to him, isn't your daughter, like, I know we spoke last time about the succession plan, have you thought any more about that? And he was like, oh yeah, I suppose I should do that. And I said, don't you do a high risk hobby as well? And he's like, oh yeah. I said, I'm sure you'd want your daughter protected if anything happened to you. And then he did nothing. And then at the next meeting, I said, isn't your daughter like a US, like a green card holder? I mean, I'm not a tax expert, but I would have thought it could be the worst thing for her to receive a lump sum, at a young age, if she's a US taxpayer. So I just kept kind of adding little bits. And he went from not aware, disinterested to, oh yeah, I suppose I should do something about that. To then another meeting was, oh yeah, I know we spoke about that, I just haven't got around to it, to eventually set up a trust. And then I think, okay, I can relax now. He's covered his risks. I've done my job, which is pointing it out. It's a bit like, you go to the GP and you haven't followed up from the last time. He's going to say to you, you still got really high blood pressure. I really would like you to go and see that specialist. He's not just going to let it go, is he? Because, so that's how I think that's my job, right? To be there to just say, it's your decision, but I really think you should look at this when you get a chance. So that's how I would deal with it. I mean, you do get occasionally a first gen, a patriarch that is a bit defensive and says, why, where am I going? Like, and I've had that. And in those situations, it's often the second gen who are the ones that are going to realize that it's important and be asking you, how do we get our parents to do something about this? So they're the main things, and just sharing what ifs with them, slowly educating them. And I think, and also remember, every client has a different need, a different concern, and that main concern will be their motivator. So there might be other benefits that they get from doing this succession planning, but there'll be one thing that drives them to do it. It's like saying, the doctor saying to you, so where do you feel pain today, Lynette? But that's the motivation for you then going to get a full checkup. So there'll be one thing and once you found that thing, the client, where they really have the most concern, that will be what motivates them to take it forward. So my suggestion is, just if you can see the need, then just keep it on the agenda, because it's in their interests, right? Hi, it's Elizabeth Hart from the Life Academy. I really hope you enjoyed that video and found it helpful. If so, please give us a thumbs up and write a review. And please subscribe on the link below to join us on this journey, to grow and learn together, to live with purpose and fulfilment as the best version of ourselves. See you soon.